Hello everyone and welcome I'm Beastly E. In today's video we're going to be talking about the latest episode of X-Men 97. So this is episode 4. So this is the second part of the past episode of the X-Men in the past. So we get this, it starts off right where it left off, which was the explosion that Ramatut made onto the area. So everyone unfortunately passed except for Apocalypse and the X-Men. Magneto was only able to protect the X-Men, and Apocalypse was just able to live on his own. Apocalypse just saw everyone he cared about die once again, and it did not go well. So there was a lot of arguing, fighting, irritation. Finally, it calmed down enough to know that Professor X was able to see what was calling to Apocalypse, so that there was some sort of temple that was calling his name to get him to go there, and that they were going to help him get there. And Charles Xavier was able to see the constellation that showed where this temple would be. So Apocalypse made it very clear that he trusts Xavier for now, but Magneto he does not trust, and it's going to take some time to maybe trust him later. And that a good piece of that will be to prove that he is going to help out his friends get back to their timeline, which obviously he finds that about that as well. So they agree to go towards there. Bishop was really just wants them to get out of there. Magneto destroys the time device specifically to make sure that they stay there to try to change Apocalypse's trajectory in time. Bishop is 100% against it, but Magneto's like, you did the same thing. Why can't we do it here? We don't know that this isn't going to work. For all we know, this is exactly what's needed right here, right now. And obviously, Bishop is very much against it, which is why he was very unhappy with Magneto doing what he did. So they get on camels and they take off to the area. So what we find out is we get to the temple, which apparently had a time displacement around it. So they were able to get there and it changed the landscape of everything. Charles Xavier has a nightmare from Ramatut, who is trying to pass a message on to him, basically stating, like, hey, like, you need to stop Apocalypse. Like, he's not going to change no matter what you do. It does not matter. And that Ramatut should be the one that gets it and not Apocalypse. And Charles is just like, don't you just want to take over the world yourself? He's like, yeah. And Charles starts hearing other voices, and he goes, those are all the voices of who I could be, can be, and ever will be. He goes, right now you're in a place that is outside of or around time. I forget how he phrases it, but anyway, we get the idea mostly because he is Kang the Conqueror, or at least a variant of him. So as this goes on, we find out that Ashram, who is the Celestial, helped create this ship, which is Apocalypse's ship. So we see it in the animated series. They think it's just a temple. It turns out to be a ship. The X-Men finally figure out what's going on. They try to stop Apocalypse because now Apocalypse is figuring out what's going on, because all the symbols around show the X-Men and Apocalypse rise to power, helping him rise to power. And Apocalypse is like, you're trying to stop me from my destiny. And Charles is like, no, I'm trying to stop you from becoming a monster. All the X-Men show up, try to stop him. Apocalypse is beating everyone to a pulp. He's doing some significant damage here. And this is without a power-up, by the way. So Apocalypse starts beating down the X-Men, taking them all out one by one. He then goes into the temple, the corridor, whatever you want to call it, goes in and he gets Ashram basically telling him that he is the one who needs to make Earth as it was once before. Only the strong and only you shall be around, and you shall rule it. Mostly due to the fact that the idea is to make it more powerful, to the assumption that the Celestial that's inside will then pop out. However, we don't know that for a fact if in this universe, but that's my guess. So, while this is going on, Apocalypse gets his full armor on, and that's when Magneto puts on the time bracelets for everyone and sends them back into the past. Apocalypse tries to stop them from going. He only stops because Magneto was willing to stay to try to stop change Apocalypse's mind. However, he is able to stop Charles Xavier from making it to the past. I mean, 1997, the present. So Magneto and Charles Xavier tried to hold off Apocalypse. Apocalypse beats them both with ease. He then uses the technology on the ship to blast Ramatat's area to smithereens. Creates a black hole that's going to obliterate the entirety of the civilization there. Now, King Ramatat puts on his Kang the Conqueror outfit and gets out of there. Basically tells his wife to be like, you'll figure it out. I'll need to conquer a different timeline at this point, and disappears. The temple gets destroyed. Magneto uses all of his power to wrap Apocalypse into a lot of metal and sending him elsewhere. Magneto and Charles are trying to figure out how they're going to stop the machine from destroying Egypt. Magneto realizes the only way he can do it is using his magnetism to be able to stop the debris around the black hole, which then he would be able to send it away so that way it won't cause destruction. Charles doesn't want him to do it, mostly due to the fact that Charles is very concerned that Magneto is going to die, and Magneto's like, I'll take that risk. You need to live more than I do. So he uses his magnetism, sends Charles out of the ship. He then uses his magnetism to send the ship and the black hole into each other, mostly due to the fact that it puts it into a full magnetic pole or magnetic field. Magneto sends it up, causes a massive explosion, sending Magneto crashing to the ground, specifically right near where Charles is, and he's bleeding out. Charles is trying to help him, and that's when none other than Apocalypse comes up, grabs Magneto by the head, and tells him, Charles, why don't you tell him what you've told me, that everything will be fine. Lie to him. And then proceeds to blast Magneto into nothing, leaving nothing but his helmet, leaving Charles there. And basically, Charles is like, I don't want you to become you're just becoming the monster, not becoming a king. Apocalypse goes to step on him and goes, you see, Charles, the difference between a god and a monster is a god won't step on an ant, and continues to walk away. The most messed up thing to say, I have to say. Apocalypse leaves. Bishop comes, collects Professor, knowing that Magneto is gone, and takes him back to the present of 1997. So, my thoughts. First off, incredible episode. Thought it was great. Got to see everything. We got to see the Kang the Conqueror. We got to see the Celestials. We got to see all these different avenues. We also get to see how all of the time is kind of coming together. We're seeing what was done in the past to bring us to the present, that we've seen already in X-Men, the animated series. So, my thoughts right now are, I have a feeling that because he's pissed off more with Charles at this point, that the newest Horsemen of Apocalypse are going to be remnants to make Charles hate himself. So I have a feeling, weirdly enough, somehow Magneto might be one. We know for a fact Gambit will be. I'm thinking Juggernaut, and then somebody else, possibly his former lover. I'm thinking as all of the four Horsemen of Apocalypse. The reason for that is because he's so pissed off with Charles that I feel like he's going to hold a grudge long enough to want to create a massive, basically FU to him. And basically stating that all these people you tried to save are now mine and I'm in control. And I think that's where he's going. Now, I could be completely wrong about Magneto, obviously, because he was completely annihilated. However, we all know that timelines are weird as it is, and anything can happen. So we'll have to wait and see. But that's my thought process right now. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I also think next episode is probably going to be a Mojo episode, but we'll have to wait and see to know for sure. But let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. Did you like it? Did you not? And why? And as always, if you like the content you see, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Other than that, this is going to be Beastly Eel signing out. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.